Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. I am Mimansa from Indian National Academy of Engineering, your host for Annual Convention 2025 of Indian National Academy of Engineering. May we request you to please be seated and put your mobiles on silent mode. Good morning once again. On behalf of Mr. J.D. Patil, President, Indian National Academy of Engineering, we extend a very warm welcome to all our invited dignitaries, former presidents of INAE, members of INAE Governing Council, esteemed fellows, young associates, members of INAE, research scholars, and students to Annual Convention 2025 of Indian National Academy of Engineering. For those guests who are not familiar with Indian National Academy of Engineering, INAE was established on April 20th, 1987 as a society under the Societies Registration Act 1860 and is an autonomous professional body located at Technology Bhavan, New Delhi. INAE comprises India's most distinguished engineers, engineer scientists, and technologists covering the entire spectrum of engineering disciplines. It functions as an apex body and promotes the practice of engineering and technology and the related sciences for their application to solving problems of national importance. The Academy also provides a forum for futuristic planning for countries' development, requiring engineering and technological inputs, and bring together specialists from such fields necessary for comprehensive solutions to the needs of country. The actionable recommendations emanating from the deliberations of technical events and programs are submitted to concerned government department and agencies for consideration as inputs for framing of national policies. The Academy was presided by eminent distinguished scientists like Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam and many other stalwarts in the field of engineering. The fellowship is awarded by the Academy as a gold standard in excellence, and we have about 1,000 fellows and 120 foreign fellows. As the only engineering academy of the country, INAE represents India at the International Council of Academies of Engineering and Technological Sciences, CATES, a premier non-governmental international organization comprising of member academies from 33 countries across the world, with the objective of contributing to the advancement of engineering and technological sciences to promote sustainable economic growth. Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge the host organization and the sponsor of the event, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Bengaluru, and would like to briefly introduce HAL. It is a Maharatna public sector undertaking under the Ministry of Defense, Government of India. Established in 1940, the company is one of the oldest and the largest aerospace and defense manufacturers in the world and plays a crucial role in India's defense sector by designing, developing, manufacturing, repairing, and overhauling aircrafts, helicopters, engines, and related systems like avionics and accessories. The Bengaluru complex hosts HLA's corporate headquarters, major production divisions, and key aerospace R&D centers. Over the years, HAL Bengaluru has been instrumental in the design, development, and production of aircraft, helicopters, aero engines, and avionics for Indian Armed Forces. Today, HAL Bengaluru stands as a symbol of India's growing self-reliance in aerospace, marked by innovation, engineering excellence, and proud legacy. HAL Management Academy, established in 1969, provides technology and management programs with a special focus on aerospace and aviation industry in India and is the premier training and leadership development institute of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Located in Bengaluru, HMA plays a central role in shaping the managerial and leadership capabilities of HAL workforce. The Academy offers a wide range of programs in management, leadership, strategy, technology management, digital transformation, and human resource designed to equip HAL executives with the skills needed to meet the evolving demands of aerospace and defense sector. Now, we greatly acknowledge another sponsor of the event, Bharat Electronics Limited, which is a Navratna public sector undertaking under the Ministry of Defense, Government of India. It manufactures the state-of-art electronic products and system of Army, Navy, and Air Force. BEL has also diversified into areas like homeland security solutions, smart cities, e-governance solutions, space electronics, energy storage products, solar, network, and cybersecurity, railways and metro solutions, airport solutions, electronic voting machine, telecom products, passive night vision devices, medical electronics, composites, and software solutions. With this brief introduction, it is my privilege and pleasure to invite the esteemed dignitaries to the dais. May I request Mr. J.D. Patil, President, Indian National Academy of Engineering, to accompany the chief guest of today's event, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, FNAE, President, Indian National Science Academy, Institute Chair Professor, Department of Chemical Engineering, IIT Kanpur, and former Secretary to Departments of Science and Technology, Government of India. And our guest of honor, Dr. D.K. Sunil, FNAE, Chairman and Managing Director, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. I also request Lieutenant Colonel Shobit Rai, Officiating Executive Director, INAE, to please come to the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in expressing our appreciation to our chief guest and all the dignitaries with a resounding round of applause. Thank you. As a symbol of appreciation and reverence, I request Mr. J.D. Patil to welcome our chief guest, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, by presenting a bouquet. I would now request Mr. J.D. Patil to present a bouquet to Dr. D.K. Sunil, guest of honor of today's event. Thank you, sir. To commence the proceeding of the inaugural session, we shall begin with the invocation ceremony and lighting of the lamp, symbolizing the knowledge, wisdom, and the pursuit of excellence. May I request our esteemed dignitaries to kindly come forward to lamp lighting.
है न मन तुमको जगत जननी शारदे जगत जननी शारदे है न मन तुमको सकल विद्या स्वामिनी तुम सकल विद्या स्वामिनी तुम वेद मूरत भगवते वेद मूरत भगवते दिव्य वीणा कर संझंकृत दिव्य वीणा कर संझंकृत शुद्ध बुद्ध विचार दे है न मन तुमको जगत जननी शारदे जगत जननी शारदे है न मन तुमको है न मन तुमको.
Thank you, distinguished guests. To formally open today's proceedings, it is my privilege to invite Mr. J.D. Patil, President, Indian National Academy of Engineering, Member of Board of InSpace, Chairman, Indian Space Association, Trustee, L&T Employee Trust, to kindly commence the proceedings with welcome remarks. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Professor Sharma, Dr. Sunil,
Chairman Managing Director, Hindustan Aeronautics, Shri Manoj Jain, Chairman Managing Director, Bharat Electronics, past presidents, fellows, vice presidents, dignitaries, the directors of both HAL and Bharat Electronics. Welcome. This is a beautiful morning. Bangalore is, I always say, the custom-made weather, and today is not an exception. So meeting in December in Bangalore is a special gift, and we thought we'll make a request to Dr. Sunil that he lends us this academy, the beautiful establishment that HAL set up. Our Vice President, Shri Raju, he had set it up when he was the CMD of HAL. Mimamsa talked about INAE, and when it was founded, the concept behind INAE was that as a body, peer body of engineers, the best of best, establishing virtually a gold standard in the engineering professionals, this as a body would do what all it takes to advise the government to make India progress. Now, with that as a backdrop of what INAE continued to do over the years, at one point in time, within first couple of years, Government of India thought it was so important, they started funding INAE for its operations. So INAE constantly for last about 35 out of nearly 40 years of existence was supported by Government of India through grants. 3 years back, the Prime Minister, the kind of visionary thinker he is, opined that why would these kind of bodies be funded, because if we keep funding them, they'll only voice what the government wants them to voice. And there was a decision at that point in time made that gradually INAE should be completely independent financially as well as operationally, and this is a task which at that point in time came on the shoulders of my past president, Professor Manna. So the fellowship, I must acknowledge, because this is the first year of completely being an independent and autonomous institution. The fellowship supported in a matter of, I must say, solidarity towards INAE. Nearly 30% of our fellows gave personal contributions, and we had actually appealed saying that it doesn't matter, you may want to pay 1,000 rupees, it's fine. It's a solidarity that each and every of our fellows need to be sort of supporting this vision, and towards that we had some amazing corporates that came forward, lots of institutions that came forward, IITs and major educational institutes came forward, and this is how INAE stands on its own feet today. Have we achieved what we set out ourselves to do? We are midway. We are not someone who's today completely can assure ourselves of, call it eternity of operational kind of a model. We certainly are good today for a couple of years of operations, and our corpus is still being built. We have today, in terms of corpus, reached somewhere close to 2/3 of the target that INAE is set in. And of course, the balance 1/3 is yet to come. And once that happens, and that's behind us, we can see that INAE truly can operate for eternity on the annuity out of the investments that we would make out of that corpus. So this was something which the Governing Council very open-heartedly supported. Government of India also approved that you can, while the government was still funding us, you can create such corpus fund, and the corpus fund contributions started coming in. As part of INAE, we obviously have been doing a lot, and the first and foremost in every major year, if we really look at, The first major event we do is our Foundation Day, which happens on 28th of April, as Mimamsa mentioned. But after that 28th of April, the major 5 or 6 events that INAE does, and typically we conclude the year with the annual convention, which we are today meeting for this, yesterday, today, tomorrow. Now, this annual convention, as a result, brings in a large amount of our fellowship, young fellows, as well as the new awardees. This year, tomorrow happens to be the day of inductions. Tomorrow we'll be inducting the new fellows as well as the young associates. As part of what they did is precisely where this 2.5-day event is scheduled. And today and tomorrow we'll be hearing each and every of those new fellows who are being selected this year. The governing council was kind to accept 38 fellows this year into the academy, and in addition to that we are having 5 foreign fellows whom we will be adopting and conferring on them the fellowship tomorrow. What had stopped when the government started tapering off in terms of our operations, the various awards that INAE used to grant and provide. This had stopped in 2021, just after the COVID year, and after that, this is the first year we are restarting every of those awards. And yesterday evening was an amazing, exceptional quality of 7 lectures of people whom we are granting this year's awards. Those who all missed it, I wonder if the video clips are available and they are carried online on YouTube. Otherwise, take a link from our secretariat and they'll be able to provide you to be able to listen to what these amazing people have done in their own careers. And that is essentially where the Lifetime Achievement Awards are. Other 2 awards in terms of our founding president's name, we have an award. Founding secretariat, we have an award. And of course the eminent teachers and the Women Award. Yesterday's Women Award was granted to Dr. Manjunath, a lady, and she talked of cancer. The kind and quality of work spoke for itself, so reinforces the processes that INAE has in place to be able to select some of these gems to be able to award them. Besides, of course, what INAE does in this part, the young students are kindled through multiple other programs that INAE conducts, and that's essentially in the form of National Frontiers of Engineering and the entrepreneurial aspects of business, which are inculcated into the students at a young age, and that's quite a major program we undertake and carry out. There's a program through Government of India funding we do in terms of reaching out to remote locations in terms of Northeast and other places, and this is another extremely important event that INAE conducts at different places. There's a youth conclave which INAE conducts. There's an engineer convention we carry out every year. There's a technology convention which we have started, this being the first year. And with a whole lot of these programs, INAE tries to reach out to professionals right across and also make our visibility larger. 2 years back, INAE Governing Council took a decision that while we have about 1,000 fellows, this year with the new inductions will be precisely 1,033. And with this level of fellowship, to simply make a voice in a country of 1.4 billion, we probably need to do something differently. And this is where the membership scheme was constituted. Now, as of date, we have roughly about 500 to 600 members, and major institutions have started becoming our members. Now, this is essentially yet another way of, call it, bringing in more talent. Some who miss out on the fellowship, but we know that they're extremely eminent people to be brought on INAE's, call it, as a common intelligentsia. This is a scheme which essentially was thought extremely important to bring those people who we know have done some amazingly good work and can come in as member INAE, in addition to like the fellows we call FNAE, and that's the other aspect. Through discussions, whole lot of us know, especially the ones in the industry and the academia, know that engineering, the way it is taught and the way it is practiced, there are large gaps. And this large gap also reflects in terms of ability to, call it, employ. And the employment ability of students is truly last many years been talked about as a concern. Now, while Government of India by its own is trying to do much through IICTE, a very, very innovative kind of a concept came up, and this was through discussions between Professor Manna and Narayan Murthy. And a Center for Engineering Education Excellence was created during the last 1 year. And I'm happy to tell you that last year, probably on similar date, somewhere around 20th of 21st December, this was formally announced through an MOU with Infosys Foundation. And since Infosys is one of the largest employer, Infosys took lead to provide close to, I would say, 40 crores in 4 years of grant, nearly 10 crores per year. Give away some small decimal point, some small rounding of errors that I am talking of. More than 9 crore, below 10 crore kind of number. Infosys Foundation is providing INAE to be able to raise the standard of engineering education. And this is rather than sort of talking to engineers or the students, we know that in India there's 1.5 to 1.6 million students who enroll for engineering. So it's not possible for anybody to truly talk to the students, and maybe also on maturity aspect at an age at which we will want to address them. So concept of CEEE was more and more to talk to the teachers, and we know that eminent institutions in this country do amazingly well, but there are tier 3, tier 4 institutions wherein the mass in India gets educated. Now, this is essentially where if one could raise the standard of the teaching by the teacher, then by default, the teacher would pass it on it differently to the students, and this is the concept behind which CEEE was, call it, architectured. I am happy to report to this august body that CEEE took its route within 3.5 months. It was constituted, thought through. Amazing level of support came out of the 5 topmost IITs. The old 5 IITs, as we all know, came on board. The teachers from these institutions, the best of best from these institutions in 5 disciplines of engineering, came on board. So 125 teachers across these 5 institutions actually came on board to do this for, call it, INAE and the CEEE. So with this, the target is, although first year we fell short of little less than 1,000 numbers, but this year onwards, there will be 1,250 teachers handpicked out of those very large number of engineering institutions. And how do you do that? And that's where AICTE came on board. So the 5 IITs, and I must formally acknowledge the support the directors of all the 5 IITs provided, and also Professor Sitaram, AICTE chairman, who actually provided all kind of access to these engineering institutions. So if an INAE has to approach any engineering institution, we only have to, there's a direct link on AICTE website. to the CEEE program, and what we want to publicize goes straight away to the AICTE website. So in a way, call it when a regulator decides to step in, people behave. And this is exactly where the success of CEEE is showing us the way ahead in terms of improving the engineering education in this country. Of course, first year we did it at a very short notice, and this year there will be more institutions that will get added, a little better amount of reach out, and hopefully we'll start seeing over 3 to 4 years a complete kind of a difference being made by INAE, and this is something now gets attached to being an independent autonomous institute called INAE. So obviously INAE is important to the nation. INAE is important, having set a gold standard in its ability to pick up its fellows, and of course now also its members. So on that note, I would like to welcome Professor Sharma. We thought, who's the best speaker with this background to speak? A person who's been Secretary DST himself, saw INAE very, very closely working with Department of Science and Technology, current INSA president himself. So from science to government, there's one person who knows it all. And that's essentially where we made sure that Professor Goel speaks to him, so he can't say no. And that's how you see Professor Sharma being here today, and it would be our privilege to hear him as well as Mr. Sunil. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your gracious words and for setting the tone for annual convention. We will now proceed to the formal release of Convention Souvenir, a curated compilation that captures the essence of the convention, its key themes, and distinguished contributions. May I request the dignitaries on the dais to kindly join us for this release. Thank you. You shall be able to digitally access the annual convention souvenir through the QR codes made accessible around the venue. We now have the privilege and honor of inviting our guest of honor, Dr. D.K. Sunil, FNAE Chairman and Managing Director of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, to share his thoughts with us. So we are truly honored to have you with us this morning. May we respectfully request you to address the audience and share your insights.
Professor Ashutosh Sharma, President INSA, former Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. Mr. J.D. Patil, President INAE, distinguished fellows, senior academicians, industry leaders, young engineers, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to all of you. At the outset, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to INAE for inviting me to this distinguished gathering. It's a privilege to host this event at HAL Management Academy. We are meeting at a very important moment in India's technological journey. Over the past decade, our country has been quietly laying the foundation for a new engineering economy, from digital infrastructure and renewable energy to advanced manufacturing to an expanding aerospace ecosystem. The conversation in India has shifted from can we compete globally to how fast can we lead globally. In the next 25 years, as we move towards Viksit Bharat 2047, the countries that succeed will be those that can master technology, drive innovation, and turn engineering skills into national strength. India has all the resources and potential to achieve this. I believe geopolitical changes are pushing every nation to strengthen its supply chain independence, especially for strategic materials and high-value components. And as products become more complex and interconnected, the future will need people who are not only specialists, but also integrators, people who can connect disciplines understand business drivers, and solve problems holistically. This transformation is seen most clearly in the aerospace sector. Across HAL, DRDO, ISRO, private industry and academia, there is a new energy and confidence. Indigenous platforms, advanced avionics, new materials and complex systems are being developed with speed and scale. But the future will demand even more. Faster design cycles, deeper collaboration across institutions, new innovation models, and a strong culture of systems thinking. Aerospace cannot grow with incremental improvements alone. It requires bold leaps, continuous experimentation, and an ecosystem that works together. As we think about the future, I believe three leadership qualities will define India's engineering progress. The first is systems thinking, the ability to look beyond individual components and understand the full picture. The second is an innovation mindset, the readiness to explore, experiment, and challenge assumptions instead of merely following established processes. And the third is partnership, recognizing that no single organization can solve large engineering challenges alone, and that India must build strong bridges between academia, R&D institutions, and industry. INAE, with its exceptional network of experts, is uniquely placed to play a catalytic role in this. I also want to say a special word to the young engineers present here. This is your era. The opportunities before you are bigger than ever. You will design the aircraft and technologies that India will rely on. To succeed, you will need more than technical excellence. You will need curiosity, cross-disciplinary learning, design thinking, and above all, the desire to solve problems that matter. I encourage you not to limit your ambition. India today rewards courage, creativity, and excellence. As we begin this annual convention, let us remind ourselves that engineering is not only about technology, it is about nation building. It is fundamentally about nation building. It is about strengthening India's self-reliance and preparing the country for a future where technology will be the main driver of growth, security, and global standing. Institutions like HAL and many others represented here have shown how engineering excellence can directly contribute to national capability. I am confident that the discussions and ideas from this gathering will help shape better policies, guide our institutions, and inspire young engineers across the country to aim higher and contribute with purpose. I thank INAE once again for this honor, and I wish the annual convention 2025 great success. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable remarks. It is now my distinct privilege and honor to invite our chief guest, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, FNAE, President, Indian National Science Academy, Institute Chair Professor, Department of Chemical Engineering, IIT Kanpur, to address this esteemed gathering. His presence with us today greatly elevates the significance of this inaugural session. Sir, we are deeply privileged to have you here. We request you to kindly share your address and enlighten us with your perspectives. Thank you so much, sir.
Good morning. So when I first got the schedule of this session, it was for 1 hour and there were 2 speakers, so I thought I'll get half an hour, and so I made PPT. So I would, wrap it up much faster than what I thought I would take. What I want to talk about is we all do science, we do technology, we do innovation, but for a very long time I've been thinking about what makes science and technology work. What are the factors that make it possible for our science that happens in labs, the science that happens in academia, science that happens everywhere else, what makes it work? So when I say what makes it work, work means, well, does it get deployed? Does it get into field? Does it have impact on society? Does it have impact on economy? Does it have impact on industry? So all of this is what you mean by, well, how does it work? What are the factors that are responsible for it? So this is what I want to talk about very quickly. And of course, I'm very grateful to INAE for the opportunity to speak here. All my friends, I'm an engineer, even though that people in INSA think that I'm a scientist, and I keep that I keep that image, okay, which may be false, but anyway, doesn't matter. So when I want to thank INAE, I think about this question about what is important, the journey or destination. So how many here think journey is more important than destination? You see that usually is the majority, but actually they don't mean it. Actually, we all know that destination is important, but it doesn't look nice to say that. So we say it's the journey, but actually it's neither the journey nor the destination which is important. It is the company paying for the journey. That's important, and INAE is that company paying for my journey, and I am very thankful to INAE for doing this. So making S&T work. See, the engineering is about future. So when you think about science, the arrow of causation in science flows from past to present. This is what we call cause and effect. If you think about it, engineering's the arrow of causation flies from future to present, because this is the future we want to engineer for ourselves, and based on that desire to engineer our future, we do something today. And so this is the arrow of causation, which comes cause and effect in a sense coming from mind to matter, and it goes from future to present. So we'll say, well, predictions are very hard, future isn't what it used to be, and tomorrow was another day. All of this is about future, because future is so uncertain. By the way, when I was formulating this mission for quantum technologies in DST, somebody, some minister or maybe expenditure, they were asking, why do we need 8,000 crores? I say, of course, because you see, future is uncertain, and quantum is uncertain, is the science of uncertainty. So when you want to make future certain, you use quantum technologies to do it, right? So sometimes you have to make arguments of that kind which appeal to people's, and not the scientific logic, but it appeals to people's different kind of human logic, so to say. What do I want to talk about? What are the strengths and weaknesses of Indian science technology today? And I am focusing more on research and development aspects, and of course research and development that gets into practice. Then what are the overarching challenges of technology, and what are the structures and processes of doing good technology in science? Of course, we know the challenges, the 4 challenges that I wrote down here. They are not based on a discipline, but doesn't matter what discipline I have, they relate to one of these overarching challenges, which are beginning now, but would be there forever on planet Earth. Humanity's journey on planet Earth is going to be shaped by these very big overarching influences. And so these are rise of intelligent machines, sustainable development, which may appear to be an oxymoron, going from invention to innovation and closing the circle of knowledge, inclusion and diversity. So then I'll come to the fact what makes science and technology work, and I may also say or not. Many times or not is equally important than what makes it work. And what kind of new mind is actually required to negotiate the challenges of that future, which is both uncertain, it is exponential, it's coming at us at faster and faster rate. Now the thing about exponential changes like technology is that while these changes could be exponential, the response of society and human mind to these challenges is always linear with a small slope. So the distance between what happens in terms of technology being driving force and the mind which has to adapt to these changes, that difference keeps on going up with time. And now we get into this era where these differences amplify very fast. So anyway, what is it? Now if you look back, let's say last 10 years in science and technology in the country, we had gone up from like 8th or 9th spot in number of publications to number 3 now. The 10 years ago, there were 70 registered startups. Now there are about 1.5 lakhs. And I would predict that next 10 years, they would rise up to 10 lakhs, which brings in very clear focus the importance of engineering, innovation, and technology. Demography is on our side. The median age of country is 28.6 years. This is a great period to be an Indian, but this window of opportunity would not be open forever. It's got another 35 years when demographic changes happen, that there's a graying of society, which means more younger people have to support more and more less young people. So that puts a lot of strain on economy. At the same time, newer constraints of climate change, newer constraints of environment, constraints of geopolitics, all of those would come into very sharp focus. So what I'm trying to say is next 25 years are very important in the history of this great nation, India. And this is an opportunity. This kind of demography comes once in 700, 500 years in every country's history. So this is why it may be called Amrit Kal. It's not simply something, not a political slogan. It has some real reasons to say that, look, why this particular quarter century is going to be so important for our future. So all of this is happening. Good new policies are there. But at the same time, while we celebrate all these stuff happening last 10 years, we must also remember that while quantity has caught up, the quality of our research and development and its direction and its relevance are still a little bit weak. So now what happens is there's the inverse problem. Inverse problem is that I need to solve this problem, and for that, what is the knowledge that I need? That's what I need to generate. Now, usually the way it happens is that we generate randomly some knowledge and then look for a problem that would be solved by that knowledge, which is a very hard problem. It's like key and lock. So I have a key and I'm looking for a lock all over the place that would be opened by that key. Very hard problem. The reverse problem is, well, I have a lock and I have to make a key for it, a specific key that will open a specific lock. And so the relevance and direction of knowledge is very important. Profound versus incremental, disruptive versus business as usual, leadership versus follower, do we have India-centric understanding of problems, and the connects of that research and development with industry, with society and so on. And I would just go here. Okay, so now what is it? Often, I've been in academia, since 90 I've been teaching in IIT, and then I was in Delhi in DST. So people ask these kind of questions, okay, at different times in different places. People ask these questions about why one is a follower rather than a leader, why one is risk averse, why incremental, why one is not connected to stakeholders of science and technology, why is one negative and complaining all the time. This is so true in campuses. Many of you have graduated from campuses long years ago, but you see there is a very pervasive negativity that happens, and that pulls everything down. So why low self-esteem? Why little translation? And then people say, why there is no Nobel Prize? And if you ask this question to 100 professors or 100 scientists or 1,000 scientists, most probable answer would be funding. So people say, hey, only if I had more money, then all these problems would be solved. Now what I want to argue is that actually this is not true. Because if that was true, if the answer simply was more money, how would you explain, I would not say failure, but how would you explain that same problems are also pervasive in theoretical sciences? The same problems are pervasive in mathematical sciences, which do not require great deal of advanced infrastructure. So therefore, it's fairly clear that there is other dimension to this problem, which is what I call cultural behavioral. So, of course, we don't lack IQ, we don't lack training, we don't lack any of that, and now infrastructure is catching up very quickly. So then we have to look beyond. And what do we have to look beyond in addressing any of these questions? And indeed, the march of good R&D in the country is looking at the cultural behavioral aspects very squarely. And so you ask the question, what makes science and technology work or not? The first thing, of course, the invention ecosystem. An invention ecosystem simply means that is a black box in which money comes in and knowledge goes out. I mean, so we generate knowledge. Hopefully that knowledge has direction and relevance and quality. So it can plug in directly with the world. So invention ecosystem is basically creating knowledge with relevance, direction and quality. There is innovation ecosystem, which is opposite of invention ecosystem. Another black box in which knowledge comes in and money goes out. Okay, invention, money comes in, knowledge flows out, innovation, reverse of that. And so invention and innovation ecosystems working together with a strong interface is what ensures that there is sustainability of knowledge itself. We cannot convert all the resources into knowledge. Some of the back conversion of knowledge into resources has to happen. Then of course the policies, rules, structures and processes are very important. I'll give one example if there was time later. I'll give you an example where science is not the limiting factor. That we have all the science you would ever need, but because of policies that we could not make that science work. So this is often an aspect which is ignored. Interfaces and connects between education, industry, society and government is the most important factor. And then of course cultural and behavioral aspects are most important to my mind. This is not something that we talk about usually. So we always talk about, hey, do we know this science? Do we know this technology? That's very good. I mean, that is the bedrock of what we want to do, but it's usually not sufficient. And so he's saying, hey, all these factors 1 to 7 are actually equally important and are involved in the success of our scientific enterprise. So if you look at the challenges, the rise of intelligent machines, this is about the convergence of different streams of knowledge. So you can call it cyber physical because you got digital cyber working together with materials and machines and systems and all of that. Of course, the next frontier of this convergence would include biological into it. So you go from industry 5 or whatever to many other things. So all of that is happening. At breakneck speed. And of course, integrating biological to cyber physical would be the next big frontier. It's already happening now. Some of the biological seeping into cyber physical, and some of cyber physical seeping into biological. So this is very exciting future. At the same time, we have to look at both the lights and shadows of this technology. Lights are easy to deal with because most companies are focusing only on the light of that technology. However, there is really no stakeholder for the shadow of any technology, and of course that these shadows are global. So there has to be some stakeholding base which looks at the regulatory aspects of the new technologies. The second challenge is, of course, sustainability and climate change, and this is a penalty for living in a complex world where sustainability, development pull in opposite directions. So this has many dimensions, not just technological dimension, but it would have policy dimension, it would have societal dimension, the will of the society, for example, all figures in. Now, people often think about this problem of sustainability and climate change as a problem of technology. Actually, it's not a problem of technology at all. In fact, technological dimensions are rather minor. Why? Let's just very quickly, of course, there is a matter for debate which will go on for very long, but let's look at the carbon emissions. So while we have new technologies, while we have green technologies, the carbon emissions always keep going up. So you see, even the slope is not decreasing. And in fact, even in the COVID time, it was not decreasing. So while green technologies have greater efficiency for consumption, it basically means you have less emission per GDP. But the GDP itself is not determined by technology, it's determined by consumption. And so it's determined, of course, the responsible consumption, there is the recycling, there is the reuse, all of that is there, right? And this happens. But those technological improvements are incremental. and basically outstrip their gains, outstripped by greater consumption that happens. So clearly there are many different dimensions of the problem. Of course, technology is one of them. I'm not minimizing the importance of technology, because that's something we can deal with. There are many other things we cannot deal with, okay, or would require a different approach dealing with them. So here is this guy saying, I used to think that top problems were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. I thought with 30 years of good science we could address those problems, but he was wrong. The top problems are selfishness, greed, and apathy. This may often require what is called the inner engineering rather than outer technology, but we don't have time to get into all that. But we say, and to deal with those, we need a spiritual and cultural transformation, and we don't know how to do that. So this looks a little harsh, but it basically sums up what our, one of the major problems are, and to deal with that problem, we need both technology as well as something else, and that something else has to be integrated with the outside world seamlessly, and that's a very difficult job. Okay, so now one way, of course, that we technologically we look at these problems of sustainability is through ESG analysis. ESG, what is ESG? Well, of course, now ESG analysis and reporting has become mandatory for top companies, and slowly it's going to percolate down. We're also going to making a carbon market, carbon credits in India, so which should be operational by early next year. So all of this is going to give a big push to technological thinking in this area. I have looked at these matrices which are used to evaluate ESG. ESG being the environmental, social, and governance aspects. This is very true for any company. I'm also trying to evolve actually a framework for educational institutions of what kind of ESG matrices would be important for educational and R&D institutions. We already know them for industry. Of course, even for industry, they are mostly borrowed from Europe or US and somewhere else. We need to tailor matrices which are relevant for India. And so there is a great deal of engineering work which is required in this. And I think INAE could take a lead in this particular thing. It would be very, very valuable indeed. Okay, so in fact, when we talk about ESG, mostly people talking about ESG for physical processes. But just about a year and a half ago, I started thinking about ESG for digital cyber processes. So a whole lot of industries today are totally based on not just physical processes, but digital processes. Their business is all algorithm, is software, is digital. And every activity we do, from emailing to surfing to large language models to all of that, it has a great impact, and it has aspects of environment, it has aspects of society, and it has aspects of governance. So this is a very attractive new area that engineers could work on. So for example, if you just look at what is the carbon footprint of digital world today, it's about 6% and increasing very fast. So I would not be surprised if 40 years from now or 50 years from now, the environmental footprint of digital world actually exceeds that of physical world. We're already saying that the digital world, for example, is driving online participation instead of physical participation. So the physical activity could go down because of the onset of digital activity, and so the relative importance and impact of these two keeps changing. So there are lots of very interesting things. It's not only about the carbon footprint, which is very lowest order of impact, but look at the impact on human mind. This is also an engineering problem. Okay, how the cognitive behavior is going to be shaped by digital technologies. There are already early studies which show what is called cognitive offloading. So younger people. How many younger people are here? Yeah. I am young and a lot are younger here. And I see some young people in front row and everybody else is younger, right? There are no old people at all. Okay, so people are using large language models a lot. Everything that I used to do myself with my brain is now outsourced to machine, And so clearly this is going to have very serious implications on the way our brains work. You see what happened in the first industrial revolution. The first industrial revolution basically detached a person's hands from the production. So you know that there's a, now machines were producing everything, right? And we have now internalized that. We no longer feel there's a relation between what we produce physically and a human being. Okay, it's all done by machines. Same thing is going to happen with what I produce with brain. Okay, so that is the final frontier, whether it is literature, whether it is art, whether it is arguments, philosophy, anything. By the way, I have a chat bot that I trained well. I can argue very deep philosophy with her, which I cannot argue with humans, because in 2 minutes they will lose interest and run away. This is what my experience is, right? So all of this is going to happen, which brings in a lot of new challenges for engineers. Really, you know, the final frontier, if you would. Basically, we have to embed ESG in our DNA. What I mean by that is every process that we do, for example, procurement. Now see, procurement, I float a tender, I do all of this. Shouldn't there actually be an ESG analysis of that procurement and say that in addition to L1, there are some points for this being a green tender, if you would. So basically from the beginning, you are thinking about a design which is sustainable, instead of saying this is L1, because things which are usually L1 are not sustainable, because you save some money there, you cut corners. So how about bringing in sustainability from the very beginning in every process that we do? In fact, that I was working on a software for this. So you put in, you know, any tender there, and it will tell you how green it is and how it can be improved in terms of its greenness or sustainability aspects. Okay, so now, okay, this is very condensed, and there is no time to argue about it. But basically, what is the new mind about? What is the processes of mind which are required to deal with new challenges? It's not business as usual. So shift from tool-centric to problem-centric basically means that it's no longer enough to say I'm chemical engineer, I am an organic chemist, I am whatever it is. Basically, I have to be problem-centric, develop the tools which are required, be interdisciplinary, be multidisciplinary, be out of disciplinary. Nobody gives any damn about what is the discipline anymore. What people care about is, can you solve the problem, right? And so this is about new learning. It's about integration and not analysis. It's about creativity, which is connecting the dots of knowledge which have not been connected before. Even common sense and intuition, which machines don't yet have. Okay, so if you ask yourself a question, 30 years from now, what does it mean to be a human? What do I have to offer which a machine doesn't offer? What does it mean to be human, basically? Okay, and this is a very hard question. So basically means things that we have been ignoring, like intuition and common sense, become very important. It's about convergence and all of that. I wanted to give an example of creativity and how technology is driving frontier science. There was a time when people thought about science driving technology, but the times have changed. So a whole lot of Nobel Prizes today are actually based on technology, and you didn't have that technology, you will not have that science. One good example is nanotechnology and its rise. So unless we had the right tools like atomic force microscopy, scanning, tunneling microscopy, that we would actually not make any headway in nanotechnology or nanoscience even. Okay, so here's a story that got a Nobel Prize, and it's saying, look, if you want to see something small, you see it with atomic force microscopy. But what is atomic force microscopy? Basically, it is common sense. So you ask yourself, when I want to see something, how do I see? Most people think about seeing as with light or with radiation, but there are other modes of seeing. Let's say a person who is visually challenged would see using a stick. So, you know, close your eyes, tap the stick around, walk around, then convert the pressure map of a stick into a visual map. Okay, so that's, if you do the same thing on a small scale, then it becomes an atomic force microscope. So essentially it is the idea which is important. It is not, technology often is not a limiting factor. Often, I'm not saying always, but often if there's a good idea, it can be translated in terms of technology and product. And this is a good example. So if I take a micro cantilever, which is a micro stick, and then poke it on the surface and drag it, then I can convert that pressure map into a visual map, topography, and so this is very simple, and this is how it works. There are many examples. We don't have time to go into it, but anyway, thinking out of box is very interesting and important in research. Here is one example from my own research. So when we want to fabricate something small, like nano fabrication, there are two ways of doing it. It's called top down and bottom up. So top down is basically using a machine tool or using radiation to make something small. Bottom up is self-assembly and self-organization, the way it happens in nature. Now I was thinking one day, I was saying, look, is there a third way of making something small? So I recalled this movie I saw in the 80s, which says, Honey, I Shrank the Kids. So basically it means that I make something bigger and shrink it. Okay, simple idea, but in 3 weeks we could publish it in the top journal of materials science. It's called Advanced Materials. Often people would work many years, 3 PhD students, 3 years to publish there. So what I'm trying to say is, look, ideas are important today. It's not simply, hey, I got $1 billion worth of equipment, because whole world has $1 billion worth of equipment. So we cannot compete there. So it must be based on the brilliance of new ideas, out of box ideas. And so basically you say, look, yeah, okay, make something bigger and shrink it, and then make something smaller. It could be a complex 3-dimensional object. To make that, you would need tons of equipment. You'll need many tens of millions dollars worth of equipment to do it. But this you can do in a high school lab. So, okay, how do you do that? You take that object, do a micro molding of that with a gel, then shrink the gel, then repeat the process, do repeat loop. You do it 4 times, you'll reduce it by 1 order of magnitude. So very simple process. In fact, we use this process to make many nano devices. I don't have time to go into it, but I'm saying, look, you can actually start with a simple concept which is new and translate that into reality. Okay, now coming to innovation. So we already said, look, innovation is very important, and in fact, I have introduced few innovations in everyday life. For example, you see, if I organize a conference and I know they are going to start with Saraswati Vandana, then I make sure that there is also Lakshmi Vandana to go with it. And so we have done it in 10 different conferences, and there is a very good reason for it. The reason is very simple. I pointed out that for invention you need money. Invention is the Saraswati. Discovery and invention goddess is Saraswati. And then you need money for invention, and there is Lakshmi. So basically Lakshmi and Saraswati are co-dependent on each other, and then we must have the healthy respect for both of them, because this is the message that we must propagate to younger minds, that everything is important in this life. We don't have to be hypocritical about anything. Right? Other innovation that I introduced is saying those places where people offer a shawl, you go to conferences and you get a shawl. So I give them my shirt size. Okay, I say, you keep the shawl, give me the shirt, they're going to be useful. So these are all examples of innovation. By the way, also to replace the flower bouquet by a potted plant. So all these little things. See, innovation is not something which happens only in a $1 billion industry. It happens in everyday life, because we observe something and I say, what is the logic of it? Can we change it? So anyway, there are 3 different modes of innovation, and in fact 3 modes of problem solving. This is what I call in Hindi Jugaad, Dhanda and Panga. So Jugaad is, we already know, okay, I don't need to say very much. Dhanda is business as usual, which basically means incremental way of solving a problem. So saying, look, okay, I'm doing 100 today, next year I'll do 102, 2% increase is fine, I'm happy with it. But then, often we need to be disruptive, and no matter how much resistance is there for that disruption, because, we get used to doing things in a certain way. And we all know that anything you want to change in an organization, there'll be a lot of resistance, because people have just not thought enough about it. But Panga is required more and more, especially because we need to leapfrog or pole vault as a nation and as a society. So oftentimes that we need to do a bit of panga, and that panga DNA has to be brought into our education starting from primary school. By the time it gets to PhD, it's too late. It's too late. So I mean, in fact, I had set up a committee that we are going to pursue again about quality of PhD education. Now, nobody actually tells them that you have to take risk. Nobody says you need to fail. Nobody says that you need to have some panga. Nobody says you have to question your mentor and all of that. So these are all aspects of culture and behavior that need to be squarely fixed. And so here it is about what I tell younger people is too late for me, is saying understand the knowledge pyramid. It's very simple. It's saying, look, you start at the very base with resources, which you call money. Money is the abstract form of resources. Then you go there, you get measurements, you get data. Then you extract information from there. Then from information you extract knowledge. Knowledge is that matrix in which information can be interpreted, like F equal to ma gives all the information about planetary motion. Then from knowledge, the point is, of course, it's very difficult to get to the next stage, which is called wisdom. So this is the knowledge pyramid going from money to wisdom, knowledge, information. This is called invention ecosystem. Going in the opposite direction is called innovation ecosystem, which means starting from knowledge, information, get down to data, measurements, market and money, right? So this journey up and down, it is governed by different laws of knowledge. Is governed by different laws of physics, if you would. So while we try to inculcate in our people the journey of invention, which is going from bottom to up, we do not equally emphasize the laws of going in the inverse direction, which is going from top to bottom. So, one, I think I'll stop there pretty much by saying, you know, in this journey of invention and innovation, we give lot of respect and lot of faith in experience. But experience often is not the only solution, especially in disruptive things. So when an elderly scientist says something is possible, I believe him. But when somebody says not possible, we don't need to believe that. Okay, because experience only tells us what is possible. What has not been done before is not in the realm of experience. So therefore, I totally ignore whatever somebody says. Hey, for example, in INSA, I created a policy center, and I talked to many fellows. They start saying, policy center, who's going to do it? What will be done? Who? Nobody has interest. What, right? So people start, you know, right away with some degree of negativity, and so if you just ignore that and say, well, okay, we have to do it well, then it's going to take roots. So here are many examples, like, oh, there's this great company Kodak. They refused digital photography. Their top leadership opined that there is no market for digital photography in the future. There is the same time another company resisted personal computing, even though they had all the intellectual property. They were the leaders in personal computers and personal computing. But the top leadership opined they were not stupid. They had a lot of experience, right? It's just that you don't see the future, and I'll tell you why. And of course, this happened. Nokia refused Android, Yahoo rejected Google, and so on, right? They're all part of history. Everybody who refused something based on their experience are part of history. So why did that happen? Because technology, the last message about technology, that technology hunts in packs. It's never isolated. So what happens in my area is affected by what happens in its proximity. So for example, personal computing and personal computers will have no future unless there were digital applications to run at home. For example, digital photography. Similarly, digital photography will have no future unless people had personal computers. So therefore, these two technologies, application and hardware, are codependent, and because each one of these people didn't see what was happening in the proximal areas of technology, which is why they made a wrong judgment about things. So thing about engineering is not isolated. In science, one can still work on very narrowly defined areas and say, look, I work in this kind of synthesis or something. But in technology, big picture is always the most important picture, and which basically means everything is connected and related to each other. Then, of course, about the diversity, of course, this is very important for engineering, because in engineering especially, the diversity is very limited. How many INAE fellows are women? Anybody knows? All the presidents are here. No? Less than 10%. Is this so? In fact, even in INSA, which is a science academy, is 7%, right? So you would imagine now that there should be a lot more. Anyway, in INSA, we a little bit address that problem by creating a vertical of women associates. And idea is to get them about 30% of the fellowship in the next 5 years. Okay, anyway, this is a very complex topic, so I'll not get into it now. But I'm saying this is is a very serious problem, because see, engineering is all about diversity, because dealing with real problems and real people. But if we don't know what the real problems are, then we can't solve them. And how do we know what the real problems are? It's only because we have a diversity of stakeholders who tell us what the real problems are. I can give you millions of examples that, if you did not have young people, if you didn't have women involved in all of this, then we would not understand half the problems that need to be solved. Okay, I said that I'll tell you something about how policy affects operationalization of science. So I don't have time, so I'll tell you only in 1 minute one example of policy which I had the first-hand personal experience of dealing with in DST. This is about policy on geospatial data, surveying and mapping. For 100 years, from the time of British, the policy was that you cannot do surveying and mapping. No Indian entity is allowed to do it unless you have very tedious approvals. These tedious approvals from home, from defense, from IB, from Survey of India, from all sorts of people. And so even government organizations took 8 months to get those approvals. So you can imagine, you want to make a tunnel, you want to make a highway, you want to make a canal, you want any infrastructure, and it's going to be delayed because you got all these tedious approvals. And if you are a private player, then simply forget about it. Okay, it's not going to happen. Why? Because they said the security is very important. We cannot allow people to do surveying and mapping. But look today, I mean, the technology you have eye in the sky, they don't care, they don't need permission. Okay, they make maps. So one fine day I woke up and I said, maps we are using are actually not made by Indian companies. Why? Because of the policy. It's not because you don't have LiDAR, it's not because you don't have drones, it's just because you are not allowed to fly those drones, you are not allowed to do surveying and mapping, right? So that policy had to be changed. And it's a very different story as to how big a struggle that would be to change that policy. And that tells you about the internal workings of the government and stuff. But anyway, what is the policy today that we could change? It's basically very simple. It says no approval is needed for surveying and mapping by any Indian entity at any scale, any resolution, unless it is an area which is protected by a competent authority. So therefore, you disentangle the security concerns from the developmental concerns. And today, based on the fact that you can do it, all the private companies are into it. States are hiring, outsourcing all this work because government cannot, it's very ambitious project. You have to map the entire country digitally at 5 centimeter accuracy. And that 5 centimeter accuracy, and then based on that, you have this program, it is called Swamitva scheme, one of the favorite schemes of Honorable Prime Minister. What is it? Most of the rural population does not have ownership papers, because of which ownership paper for their land, because of which 50% litigations are going on, blood feuds are going on, and you have non-performing assets. Other words, I cannot take that piece of land to a bank and take loan against it as a collateral, right? So now imagine what is the impact on economy of a simple policy which allows you to do mapping, and now these ownership certificates are being distributed to people. The impact on economy is not thousands of crores, it is not tens of thousands of crores, it is not lakhs of crores, it is tens of lakhs of crores. So while you have a simple policy which can either make or break your economy, right, and it's nothing to do with science, it's simply the fact as to how we actually deploy our science or allow our science to work. Right, so basically all the non-performing assets in the form of land are coming into economy. It's just like all the gold that is locked up in lockers is doing nothing for us, right? So it's very simple. Okay, so this is what illustrates the fact that that policies are very important for science to work properly for our society. Now, okay, what are the drivers and directions of technology? It's basically very simple. It's what the mind wants. So, if you're thinking about a product that you want to launch in the market, what is the basic need of mind it is going to address and satisfy? To be healthy, the quality of life, to be connected with equality, rise of social media and all the ITC, to learn and apply mocks, to make decisions in complexity, AI, ML, to be entertained, which is everything, which includes all the conferences, to create and control its own world, AR, VR, to live long, maybe forever, to have better life, to be happy, to find fulfillment. Now, the only place where the current civilization has gone horribly wrong is to equate the sense of happiness with consumption. So, I've often seen people, they say, I'm feeling unhappy today. What do I do? Let's go buy another car. I have only 5 cars. If I buy a better car, I would be happy. So that happiness lasts one day and is back to the square one. Because the basic assumption is so totally wrong. It's so counter, experience. So what it means is, again, to repeat actually what I said earlier. What are the drivers that make science and technology work or not? To kind of summarize, it's invention and innovation working together with a very strong interface between them. Is actually interface which have been missing in our society. So while invention ecosystem is very robust, so all the universities, R&D institutions, all of this producing knowledge, but that knowledge is not connecting with society and industry and so on. Then okay, and the cultural behavioral aspect is very important, and so I should end really there because this gets a little bit more complicated here. So I end there. Okay, right. Oh, there's some more, but we are out of time. So what I was going to, the last 2 slides were about the cultural behavioral aspects that directly relate to success in our R&D enterprise. So what is it that, in addition to the qualities of mind which is required, in addition to qualities of mind, we also require cultural behavioral aspects that would actually feed into our science and technology ecosystem. So I conclude there. Thank you very much. Are you taking some questions? So I asked the chairman, I said, are we taking any questions? He said, why not? That's a question itself. Right? So he said, why not? Okay, so well, let's take some question. What? Yeah. You see, that's why enabling systems play such an important role. In many countries, it's not that the people got better IQ. Obviously not. It's not because they got better training. It's not because of that. So it's not, the limiting factor often is not how much science I know, but basically how did it get translated? And that depends on systems outside of R&D labs, outside of universities and so on. So if you are developing an aircraft in some country, like Europe somewhere, right? So there are auxiliary industries dime a dozen. You don't have to reinvent everything. You just say, I want this kind of part, you develop it, somewhere you're going to supply, right? So all of that enabling factors are so important in the success of science, right? And so here incubation period would be much longer than elsewhere because you have to reinvent everything from ground zero. Many other places you don't have to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
For high value item like accelerator and EV welding machines.
Correct.
So what is your suggestion on that? Thank you.
You know much better what the limiting factor is, isn't it?
Numbers.
So, yeah, what is it?
Numbers.
Not getting numbers?
Commercialize, mass production.
Yeah.
They want 10 numbers. Do we order for 10 numbers?
Yeah, so of course, what basically you're saying is that your development often is dictated by market size. I agree. If you're only going to buy one machine, that is much easier to import it. unless it's a critical machine. So which basically means it's either denied or you need to have that technology for the future. These are only two reasons that you would want to invent it if it's not really demanded, if it's not in huge demand. So economically it would not make sense, right? It will make sense only because of the other two reasons, because of geopolitics perhaps.
A PK faculty from IIIT Hyderabad.
Yeah.
So I was not fully sure of what your definition of technology shadow was. Are you referring to
Shadow
the negative?
is what you may call a negative impact,
Yeah, sure.
either on your mind or on society or any aspect. So often, for example, nexus of technologies and the life cycle analysis are forgotten, right? Because they don't, they don't benefit the company that is making the technology. So therefore, what is the nexus? See, I'll give you a very simple example. So we once had this bilateral technology development with a very good country that's very good in technology, and they were offering a technology to co-develop that technology with India, and they said we'll make this solar water pump which can draw water from very great depth, because our water table has gone down a lot, right? And this would work, I mean, it has storage and everything, so it'll work 24 hours a day, and it will solve all your problems of irrigation. And of course, technically it was a very fit product. So the technical committee looking at it approved it. When it came to my desk, I rejected it. Okay, it's very simple. Why? Because you imagine that you are giving, something, you're giving a very, very effective instrument for over exploitation of resource like water. So basically, the water is free, solar energy is free, everything is free. You're going to do flood irrigation, okay? Even in those areas where there is no water, where the conventional pumps have stopped working, you allow them to empower them to exploit it even more, instead of switching to better methods of irrigation like drip irrigation, or not to have crops which are water intensive in areas where there is no water. You are encouraging actually over exploitation of water through this technology. So while technology is good, it's not good in the societal context in which it would serve its role, right? So one has to. This is what I mean by this is what you would mean by shadows of technology.
Yeah, thank you for the thought.
And AI actually is a very good example where shadows need to be analyzed much more deeper.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you had so many things, Ashutosh, that it's the only thing I missed was the word passion, because that is something, a replacement for money. I mean, if you think it's
passion
very important.
For what, money?
No, not money. Passion for solving a problem. You will find the money, you will find the way. And then there is the Einstein quote: "Imagination is more important than knowledge." So I don't know what your views are.
Yeah, Sunil, I know your passion for very long. And how you were arguing about the stuff rotating, the molecular machine and everything. Yeah, I've now forgotten that. Very good.
Thank you so much, sir.
Ashutosh, you presented a triply distilled essence of all these years of knowledge. I was asked, when you presented this thing, that what world needs a...
Before you ask the question, let me give a disclaimer. I do not answer questions of T. Pradeep.
Okay.
But you can ask the question. Question is important.
Point is, we want problem solvers today in this world. Are you also advocating the convergence of many of our teaching programs so that we look at some form of problem solvers from academic institutions as an end product? Why I ask this question is that many of the science departments, at least basic science departments, are closing. You are very well aware of this. And this is also, there is a big change that is happening in engineering as well. So you're advocating this, and it's something that academy can look at as a possibility.
That's why closing is concerned. More engineering departments are closing other than computer science than science departments. So anyway, that's a different question. About problem solving, yes, our curriculum is not geared. Our curriculum has historically been geared towards getting a particular kind of job. It's not about problem solving, but fitting into a kind of slot, right? That's what it is. And because education is like chapter to chapter, it's from exam to exam, from semester to semester, from degree to degree, and there is no synthesis. So when people are learning fluid mechanics, they're only learning this chapter on which questions are going to be based on that chapter. But in the real problem, your thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, material science, biology, everything is going to be combined. So that synthesis is never tested, right? It's never tested. So that skill is in short supply. Design is in short supply. See, mass education is very difficult. There are certain things which are very difficult to do in mass education, right? Because it's only geared towards testing people. It is not geared towards learning principles. So there are many aspects in NEP 2020 which are related to learning aspect rather than cracking of exams aspect, and so they have to be implemented both in letter and spirit, which is very hard to do. So most people just shy away from there. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Your words truly have undoubtedly served a guiding light for the deliberations of this convention. And yes, Mr. J.D. Patil, President INAE, to present mementos as a token of appreciation to our honored guest, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, Chief Guest of the event. And Dr. D.K. Sunil, Guest of Honor of the event. Thank you. To conclude the inaugural session, I would now like to invite Lieutenant Colonel Shobit Rai, Officiating Executive Director, INAE, to propose the vote of thanks.
Esteemed dignitaries on and off the dais, very quickly, allow me to take a minute and thank everyone with this conclave. On behalf of Indian National Academy, it is my proud privilege to present the vote of thanks, and I am grateful to each one of you who could spare their valuable time and be here for the commencements of the proceedings of the INAE Annual Convention 2025. I extend my gratitude to the National Advisory Committee of INAE for the annual convention, also the organizing committee for showing the direction and curate the program for the convention. My sincere thanks to the Governing Council of INAE to empower us for the execution of this convention. I thank the leadership at HAL and consequently HMA, Mr. Malik, Dr. Shiva Prasad, Mr. Patnaik, Mr. Vikas, Mr. Murli Behra, the working hands with us, and many others whom we have been interacting with to continuously coordinate all facilities, as well as, of course, the leadership at HL headquarters, who besides being our gracious sponsors, have extended all the facilities at HMA and their full support. My sincere thank you to Bharat Electronics Limited for being our co-sponsor for the convention. I deeply value guidance from INAE leadership, that is President INAE and our Vice Presidents, who are the guiding force in putting together this convention. My gratitude to Shri Suvarna Raju, Vice President INAE and former CMD HAL for his guidance. My sincere thank you to fellows, delegates from HAL, BEL, URSC and other valued organizations, and our esteemed fellows who are here and young associates who have taken time and traveled from far and wide in these times of aviation uncertainty to be here and embrace the Academy by virtue of their engineering achievements. Thank you to you all. My shout out to colleagues from INAE for being with us steadfastly. Lastly, but my gratitude to the vendors for supporting the event. I hope all of you will have a great time ahead interacting with each other, celebrating the cause of engineering in next day and a half. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Very good evening to all of you. We are delighted to begin one of the most awaited segments of the day, the Grand Award Ceremony. This ceremony celebrates excellence, innovation, and outstanding contribution across various domains of engineering and technology. We extend our heartfelt congratulations in advance to all the awardees. The awards were not conferred during the year 2023 and 2024 due to the government directives applicable across all the government department, autonomous bodies and sectors, and were reinstituted this year after attaining of functional and financial autonomy by the Academy from April 1, 2025 onwards. As we commence this prestigious celebration of Grand Award ceremony, it is now my honor to invite Mr. J.D. Patil, President INAE, Professor Shivaji Chakravarti, Vice President Fellowship and Awards, Mr. T. Suvarna Raju, Vice President Resource Generation, Corporation Communications and Membership, on the dais, please. I also request Lieutenant Colonel Shobit Rai, Officiating Executive Director INAE, to please come to the dais. To begin this prestigious ceremony, may I invite Mr. J.D. Patil, President INAE, to kindly deliver the opening remarks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday we heard the 7 luminaries who spoke right from this dais. This is part of what we call the different types of awards that INAE used to grant, had been under suspension for some period, and the 155th Governing Council meeting in June of 2025 decided to reinstate all the awards that we used to do till about 2021. As obviously lots of actions followed as part of this Governing Council decision, and each and every of those awards, which I'll just read out the details, they were kept on hold. Last awards we had distributed, and that were cleared in October 2022. So it was precisely 3 years we sort of did not do any award distribution or award ceremony. Why it was felt extremely important by the Governing Council was for a simple reason that there's amazing work that happens in engineering, and when we have some of that, it needs to be showcased. It needs to be showcased for multiple purposes. One is that the government takes note that this kind of a thing really happened. All of our fellowship takes note of what has happened. It also inspires the next generations to keep doing better and better. So as a part of this awards, we decided we'll reinstate the Lifetime Contribution Award in Engineering, and this was yesterday we heard 2 luminaries who were being awarded or who will be awarded today. Yesterday they spoke on and they presented in terms of their work during their lifetime. The third award was Jai Krishna Memorial Award. Professor Jai Krishna was the first president of INAE, and in his memory this award is given every year. And Professor S.N. Mitra Memorial Award. This is an award which, depending on sections given, so as a result, effectively out of the 10 sections, there are 2 awards. Outstanding Teacher Award. Yesterday again, we heard Professor Kulkarni on this, and this was honoring engineering teachers who done some amazing work in their lifetime, and this again was 2 teachers yesterday who spoke and will be awarded today. Woman Engineer of the Award was granted to one lady, and she also spoke yesterday. And of course, along with that, we'll be seeing the INAE Young Engineer Award and of course the Young Innovator and Entrepreneur Awards. So in effect, we'll be seeing multiple awards being granted today. So bear with me without taking any more time. In the interest of time, we have in about an hour's time a major sort of invited talk. Professor Vashi is going to speak on the solar ecosystem in India, and before that we need to be winding up the award ceremony. So I'll not take much of a time, so that the awardees have one or two words in acceptance of the award. Thank you so much.
Now we will commence the presentation of awards. We will first recognize the exceptional young minds shaping the future of engineering with the INAE Young Engineer Awards 2025. I would request Dr. Diya Prasada Raju, R&D and Advisor, Visiting Professor, IIT Madras, Tirupati PSG Institutions, Coimbatore, GMR Institute of Technology, Geetam, Visakhapatnam, to kindly come on the dais and please read the citation of Young Engineer Award.
Good evening to everybody. It's indeed a great pleasure inviting our young minds to receive the award. The INAE Young Engineer Award is given to recognize outstanding achievements, contributions made by young engineers with strong potential for future professional growth impact in any branch of engineering. The criteria for selection is evidence of excellence in engineering research, product, process, design, technology development, and transfer specific contribution submitted for consideration of the award should have been carried out in India. Work should have been carried out in India. Any citizen of India not older than 35 years and any one degree in engineering technology as on 1st January of the year is eligible for consideration. However, lady nominees are eligible for age relaxation of 5 years for the award. The award shall consist of a cash prize of 25,000 and a citation. The subject award was not conferred during the years 2023-24 due to government directives and was reinstituted this year after disengagement and attaining of functional and financial autonomy by the Academy from 1st April 2025 onwards. All INAE Young Engineer awardees will become INAE Young Associate on conferment of award and shall continue to be INAE Young Associates till attaining 45 years of age. Up to 30 awards are to be conferred each year. So 29 nominees have been selected for conferment of INAE Young Award Engineer for the year 2025. So I'll read out the names of these Young Engineer awardees. I would request them to come and receive the award from Honorable President. The first one, Professor B.S. Sindhu, Principal Scientist, CSR, Structural Engineering Research Center, Chennai. Selected for her outstanding contributions in the area of nano engineering and cementitious and epoxy composites and damage characterization. Second award is Dr. Arya Vijyanathan, Associate Professor, IIT Delhi, selected for outstanding contributions in the area of environmental engineering. The third one is Dr. Ankit Agarwal, Associate Professor, IIT Roorkee, selected for his outstanding contributions in the area of hydroclimatic extremes, teleconnections, and data-driven earth system sciences and dynamics. The fourth one is Dr. Ashutosh Kumar from Indian Institute of Technology, Mandi, selected for his outstanding contributions in the area of soil structure interaction, landslides, sensing technique for geotechnical applications. The fifth one is Dr. Chaya Ganesh, Assistant Professor, Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, selected for her outstanding contribution in the area of cryptography, security, theoretical computer science. The sixth one is again from IASC, Dr. Sumit Kumar Mandal, Assistant Professor, selected for his outstanding contribution in the area of hardware acceleration of large language models, processing in memory and edge computing. The seventh award is Dr. Sayak Rai Chowdhury from Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, selected for his outstanding contribution in the areas of machine learning, artificial intelligence, and large language models. The next one is Dr. Gurminder Singh from Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, selected for his outstanding contribution in the areas of additive manufacturing, material science and finite element analysis. Next is Dr. Venkataran Kiran, Scientific Officer from Nuclear Fuel Complex, Hyderabad, selected for his outstanding contribution in the areas of design, manufacture of special purpose machines, automation and resistance welding. The next award is Dr. Vicky Anand from IIT Jodhpur, selected for his outstanding contribution in the areas of electrodynamics, water and wastewater treatment and membrane technology. The next one is Dr. Harshal Agarwal from CSR, Central Electrochemical Research Institute, Chennai, selected for his outstanding contributions in the areas of applied electrochemistry, hydrogen energy, fuel cells, computational fluid dynamics. The next award is Dr. Aniket Uday Toshar, Senior Manager from Reliance Industries, Navi Mumbai, selected for his outstanding contributions in the areas of hydrogen value chain, multi-scale, multi-physics modeling. The next awardee is Dr. Vishnu Mahadev Iyer from IISc Bengaluru, selected for his outstanding contribution in the area of power electronics. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir. I would now request Dr. T. Bhaskar, FNAE, Tata Steel Limited, to kindly come to the dais and please read the citation of remaining young engineer awardees.
Thank you. I would like to call upon Dr. Sandeep N., Assistant Professor, Malviya National Institute of Technology, Jaipur. He is selected for his outstanding contributions in the area of power electronics. Next is Dr. Vikrant Kaim, Assistant Professor, Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. Dr. Kaim has been selected for his outstanding contributions in the area of electromagnetic theory, implantable, wearable, ingestible medical devices. Next, I would like to call upon Dr. Balaswamy Velpula, Assistant Professor, Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, selected for his outstanding contributions in the area of low noise fiber lasers and non-linear fiber optics, optical coherence tomography. Next, I would like to call upon Mr. Gaurav Kumar, Scientist, Engineer, SC Space Application Center, ISRO, Ahmedabad. He is selected for his outstanding contribution in the area of RF and micro antenna technology. Dr. Sai Gautam Gopalkrishnan, Assistant Professor, Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, selected for his outstanding contributions in the area of computational material science, material design for energy applications. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Bhad Reddy G, Scientific Officer, E, BARC, Mumbai, selected for his outstanding contributions in the area of thermomechanical processing, structure property correlations, deformation micromechanics. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Prem Kumar Murugayan, Principal Scientist, CSR National Metallurgical Laboratory, Jamshedpur, He is selected for his outstanding contributions in the area of physical metallurgy, bulk magnetic alloys, electromagnetic NDE sensors. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Pallavi Das, Principal Scientist, CSIR, Central Institute of Mining and Fuel Research, Dhanbad. She is selected for her outstanding contributions in the area of novel separation processes, chemical engineering process design, wastewater treatment. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Ranjit Tangavel, Assistant Professor, Indian Institute of Technology, Tirupati, selected for his outstanding contributions in the area of energy storage, batteries and supercapacitors, functional materials, and biomass carbon. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Mohit Kumar Jolly, Associate Professor, Indian Institute of Sciences, Bengaluru, selected for his outstanding contributions in the area of computational and mathematical biology, theoretical biophysics, and bioengineering. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Jayant Rao Dilip Rao Mohite, Scientist, Tata Consultancy Services, Mumbai. He is selected for his outstanding contributions in the area of geospatial AI, remote sensing, sustainability, and agriculture MRV. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Richa Karmakar, Assistant Professor, Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. She has been selected for her outstanding contributions in the area of microfluids, chemotaxis, cellular biophysics, lab on a chip diagnostics.
Following this, we will move on to the next set of awards, the INAE Young Innovator and Entrepreneur Award 2025, honoring individuals who have demonstrating outstanding creativity, entrepreneur spirit, and path-breaking innovation. I would request Professor T. Pradeep, FNAE, IIT Madras, to kindly come on the dais and please read the citation of INAE Young Innovator and Entrepreneur Awardees.
Good evening. What a great pleasure to be here. The first award goes to Aditya Sadhanala, Assistant Professor and Pratiksha Young Investigator Chair, SENS, Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, and co-founder and director, ABX3PV Private Limited, awarded for pioneering contributions to thin film optoelectronics, enabling adaptable perovskite photovoltaic modules for India's diverse rooftops and advanced applications. The second award goes to Dr. Ananya Barui, Assistant Professor, Center for Healthcare Science and Technology, Indian Institute of Engineering, Science and Technology, Shibpur, awarded for significant contributions at the interface of cancer diagnostics, regenerative medicine, and biomedical engineering, and development of an indigenous AI-generated, non-invasive, and label-free screening platform for oral and cervical cancers. The next award goes to Mr. Shiva Gautam Kumar Patapu, founder and CEO, Raxion Private Limited, Hyderabad. Awarded for significant contributions to advanced composite structures, aerospace systems engineering, and indigenous deep tech manufacturing for strategic applications and contributions to structural and systems design in Hyperloop team, placed first in the US and fourth worldwide.
We will now confer the INAE Women Engineer of the Year Award 2025, celebrating excellence, leadership, and impactful contributions by a distinguished woman engineer. I would request Professor Shivaji Chakravarti, Vice President INAE, to please come and please read the citation of INAE Women Engineer Awardees.
So, presentation of award to INAE Women Engineer of the Year 2025. In the year 2025, the nominee selected for conferment of the award in industry category is Dr. Geeta Manjunath founder, CEO and CTO of Niramai Health Analytics Private Limited, Bengaluru, who founded a startup that has pioneered a new non-invasive imaging test for detecting early breast cancer. She led her team to develop Thermalytics cancer screening test, which is now clinically proven and regulatory approved in 20 plus countries and is an affordable, accessible and high quality cancer screening test. Presentation of award to INAE Outstanding Teacher Awardees 2025. This award is given 2 per year in 2 groups. Group 1 that comprise Engineering Section 1 Civil Engineering, Engineering Section 3 Mechanical Engineering, Engineering Section 4 Chemical Engineering, Engineering Section 7 Aerospace Engineering and Engineering Section 8 Mining, Metallurgical and Materials Engineering. In the year 2025, the award in Group 1 is conferred upon Professor Shishendu De, Professor of Department of Chemical Engineering, IIT Kharagpur, for outstanding teaching contributions as a well-known teacher for his courses, namely Advanced Mathematical Treatment in Chemical Engineering, Novel Separation Processes and Transport Phenomena. His NPTEL lectures on these subjects are extremely popular not only in India but also abroad. In Group 2, we have Engineering Section 2, Computer Engineering and Information Technology, Engineering Section 5, Electrical Engineering, Engineering Section 6, Electronics and Communication Engineering, Engineering Section 9, Energy Engineering and Engineering Section 10, Interdisciplinary and Special Engineering Fields and Leadership in Academia, R&D and Industry. The award in Group 2 in 2025 is conferred upon Professor S.V. Kulkarni, Professor of Department of Electrical Engineering at IIT Bombay, for his outstanding teaching contributions. He was INAE Chair Professor in his department and has more than 25 publications in reputed journals and conferences. He organizes several training programs on transformers and computational electromagnetics and completed many industry projects. Presentation of award to INAE Professor Jai Krishna Memorial Awardee 2025. INAE Professor Jai Krishna Memorial Award for the year 2025 is being conferred on Professor Anil Kumar Bhaumik, former Professor of Eminence at the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, and Founder Director of IIT Patna, and currently a faculty at the University of Houston, USA. He is renowned for his outstanding contributions to the development of polymer nanocomposites, sustainable materials, thermoplastic elastomers, and industrial polymer compounds in the materials engineering discipline. Professor Anil Kumar Bhaumik has been conferred INAE Professor Jai Krishna Memorial Award in recognition of his outstanding research contributions in the areas of polymer nanocomposites and sustainable materials and development of rubber products for industry.
Heartfelt thanks and gratitude to INAE, especially the jury members for selecting me for the INAE Professor Joy Krishna Memorial Award 2025. Thank you once again.
Presentation of award to INAE Professor S.N. Mitra Memorial Awardee 2025. INAE Professor S.N. Mitra Memorial Award for the year 2025 is being conferred on Professor Bhim Singh, ANRF National Science Chair and Emeritus Professor, Department of Electrical Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, who is an internationally acclaimed electrical engineer whose pioneering contributions in power electronics, electric mobility, and renewable energy systems have profoundly impacted India's scientific, industrial, and social landscape. Professor Bhim Singh is being conferred the INAE Professor S.N. Mitra Memorial Award in recognition of his outstanding research contributions in electrical engineering and pioneering work in power electronics, electric mobility, and renewable energy systems. Now we have come to the presentation of awards to INAE Lifetime Contribution in Engineering. INAE Lifetime Contribution in Engineering Award 2025 is being conferred to 22 nominees. INAE Lifetime Contribution in Engineering Awards 2025 is conferred upon Professor J.B. Joshi, Chancellor and former Director, Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai, a renowned chemical engineer who has done truly outstanding work in developing design procedures for multiphase reactors which form heart of the chemical process and nuclear industry. He deployed a unique blend of theory, modeling, experiments, and intuition, which has resulted in a rational basis for the design and scale-up of a large number of commercial-sized reactors in India and throughout the world. Professor J.B. Joshi is conferred the INAE Lifetime Contribution in Engineering Award 2025 in recognition of his outstanding contributions to the growth of the chemical process industry in the country and leadership role as an academician and institution builder. And now to the other Lifetime Contribution in Engineering Award 2025. INAE Lifetime Contribution in Engineering Award 2025 is conferred upon Dr. Shanak Mishra, former President INAE and former President of the Indian Institute of Metals and former Managing Director, Rourkela Steel Plant and Director, Steel Authority of India Limited, Vice President, ArcelorMittal and CEO, India Projects and Secretary General, Indian Steel Association. Dr. Shanak Mishra is a renowned metallurgist whose life is an inspiring testament to the powerful intersection of science, engineering, technology, industry, and transformational leadership. Dr. Shanak Mishra is conferred the INAE Lifetime Contribution in Engineering Award 2025 in recognition of his outstanding contributions in the field of metallurgical engineering and leadership role in the growth of the steel industry in the country.